everyone, welcome to LexTalk, World's talk show presented by Clickaway Creators. Today we have Mr. Saifullah Shaikh with us. Mr. Sheikh is a University of London's alumni and currently is the assistant manager legal at K Electric. He's from Pakistan and he has a history with settlements, advisory, and litigation. And we have a lot actually to learn about his journey from litigation to being part of an organization. We'll of course understand that. So without further ado, let's welcome him to the show. Hi, Saifullah, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much.
Pleasure is all us. Thank you very much for being on the session and getting some time out for us. As I said, I tried my level best to cover things about you, about your education and your key practices. But it would be great if we can dwell down into furthermore. But before I do that, there are some curiosity that I have personally from you. So if I want to start from there, if you allow me.
Okay.
So to start with, the question that is coming in my mind, first thing first is, what do you think is a rampant issue with the legal system in Pakistan? From where I see, and in your opinion, is there an issue? If it is, what is the issue exactly, and how it can be tackled or solved, if I can use that word?
Okay. So one of the most recurring issue that we have been facing in Pakistan's legal system is that there's a pendency of cases to a great extent. So the legal process in Pakistan functions really slow. If I say that we have lack of judges and the judicial resources in Pakistan, I wouldn't be wrong in saying that. Even though in the past few years the system has been refined to a great extent, but still I believe there's a huge gap between the supply and the demand. When I would say that the cases that the new cases that come every day, and the pendency, then the justice that has been given in Pakistan on the daily basis, it's really slow as compared to the cases that have been coming very often. So really, I wouldn't be wrong if say it's a more of a slow and an unfair process that is being given to the accused people. So that's the only issue that we have. That's the major issue that we have been facing in Pakistan's legal system.
It's the pendency of the cases is
so
what
I say that there's a huge pendency of cases that have been lined up within before the different honorable courts of Pakistan. That let's say city court, district court, high courts, and the Supreme Court. It's true for all the hierarchy.
If I have to dwell down to this even further to understand, if I may use the word justice gap. So, on a scale of 10, how would you rate the current legal system's drive towards encouraging access to justice in Pakistan? And is there a tangible moment or way that can help in closing the justice gap that is there in the legal drive?
Yes, there are multiple methods that could be achieved. Okay, so if I would say what would I rate? So recently, around 2-3 days back, there's a senior most judge of the Honorable Supreme Court. He asked before the Judicial Council, where almost everybody from the legal fraternity representing before the Honorable Supreme Court, High Court, multiple different courts. So he's a senior most judge who is of the Honorable Supreme Court. So he asked everybody over there that what would you rate the system of Pakistan, like how many people trust the legal system in Pakistan? And trust me, nobody raised their hand. But that is a state of affairs. I would say that somebody from the Supreme Court, the judge from the Supreme Court has asked this question before the legal fraternity, and like everybody almost refused, that they don't trust the legal system. So that shouldn't be the case, because legal thing is the right to fair trial is everybody's right. So it comes in any constitution of let's say Pakistan or in any constitution of the world. So if there's no right to fair trial, if there's pendency in the cases, if the justice is not delivered, let's say justice it's a very famous saying: justice denied is justice delayed is a justice denied. So you could understand that this is not a good state of affairs.
I mean, that's right. That's very right. If we talk about state of affairs as well, see, from my side of the world, we understand how I mean the participation of females in the legal industry and from different, especially Southeast Asia, if I talk about, and it differs in different jurisdictions. What's the case in Pakistan? How uh, I mean, if I have to phrase it properly, do you think it's fair to suggest that Pakistan's legal system is not safe for female practitioners? That's what we have read or learned in many places. But what's the reality there? If you can sort of give us uh, an unbiased view on that.
Okay, so I wouldn't really say that it's not safe for the female practitioners. However, considering the fact that in Pakistan it's a male-dominated society, and
Mhm.
apart from that, when you visit the courts in Pakistan, you would see more males as compared to females. I would say the ratio would be 8:2. Like if you say eight males, there will be two females. So which is not a good number. It does not show a positive sign. So even though it's a male dominated, however, I personally think the males of our society should act in a more responsible manner and make them feel safe and secure, and give them a way to excel in their career, since legal career it's one of the most prestigious and very I would say a very professional career in Pakistan as well, and throughout the world especially. So if I was in your position, I would definitely say that the legal practitioners, yes, the female legal practitioners do face some problems, do face some obstacles during their practice. However, there have been reforms and the multiple procedures that have been introduced in the legal system in the recent, so which makes them more which gives them more chance to excel in their career also. So, however,
Mhm.
I do see some gap filling in the recent past. So male dominated society have been changing in the legal career, have been changing to more of a like I see more females practicing legal career even after their post graduation, or even after their, I would say, the marriage life or their other professional careers. They have started practicing the legal career.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
And that is where and that
Also,
is where I think that the and that is where we should definitely encourage more females, and should refrain from discouraging them, considering the fact that yes, the situation is not good for them. However, it's definitely changing and it's improving day by day.
that's very good to know actually, an honest sort of view, an unbiased view
Yeah.
from a young lawyer. Okay, coming back to, I mean, I also want to talk about you. What really brought you in legal fraternity, in legal profession? You see, it's a noble profession. It's not an industry that we see, and I'm not sure whether people really plan that I want to become a lawyer. So how did it really happen with you?
Okay, so I since day one when I did my higher school, I've been always been noticing the bad situation of our country when it comes to law and order, when it comes to the justice system, when it comes to different social problems that have been faced in Pakistan. And I personally think it's the judiciary and the legal fraternity that could do their best, because we have already given the chance to every other profession, be it the district management group, be it the police group, be it any group. So the judiciary and the legal fraternity had to play a part to a great extent in order to overcome the problems that we have been facing in Pakistan since like many years now. So I always wanted to be a part of that change. So that thing really inspired me. And and there's one more thing that inspired me to be a lawyer, was that there are very few lawyers in my family, and even though there are many judges, but the lawyers, the good lawyers and the successful lawyers, there are very few of them. So I wanted to change that stereotype and be a part of that thing that very few people in my family have come across. Many people in my family either go in for civil bureaucracy or either do their own businesses. So I wanted to change their mindset. I wanted to be a part of that very, like you said, noble profession. That it actually is a prestigious and the noble profession. It's not an industry. So I always wanted to be a part of that. That is what really inspired me, and I wanted to be a part of that huge major change that we as a legal fraternity, or maybe if I would join judiciary in the future. No, there's no plans as of yet. But if I do, so I always like wanted to be a part of that system, and I'll make sure that I try my level best to be a change in the system.
Brilliant. I mean, if I also want to, I also have actually a follow-up question to this. Um,
Yeah.
because you're a young lawyer actually, and you're a University of London's alumni. So there are a lot of people in our a lot of people comment and ask us if we can ask for advice to the lawyers, especially who have been internationally trained or got their graduation or masters from an international, renowned international university like Cardiff and Harvard and all of them, and University of London. So, do you have any piece of advice you would like to give a student of law that you wish someone had given you back then, to cut down the learning curve for them?
Yes, definitely. I do have a certain advice for them. The advice is that uh, let's say when I graduated, I did my LLB from University of London. So everybody would ask me like whether you would go for corporate or whether you would go for litigation, whether you would go for an in-house legal counsel. At that time, once you graduate, you really don't have an idea of what exactly is the practice like. Every practice, the litigation, the corporate in-house, every these all aspects have different pros and cons. So at that time, you really don't have an idea that what exactly do you have to pursue in life and what exactly you would enjoy. So I personally advise that to the law students is that you should practice whatever comes your way. Just give in your 100%, just give it your shot, and make sure that whatever you are doing, do it with the sincerity and do it with the honesty. And I trust me, you will excel in whatever you do. It's not really hard to determine whether you have to go for corporate or litigation, but it's too early to decide right after your graduation what will you like the most, because the corporate and the litigation both has different feel, both has different pros and cons, both have different advantages and disadvantages. So once you start practicing, once you get into the legal career, once you get into the legal field, then only you can decide what suits you best, what suits according to your nature. Because the legal career, you need to be really talkative, you need to be like you should know how to debate, you should be good at researching, you should be good at debating, you should be good at like the legal writing thing. So there are many aspects of the litigation part, there are many aspects of the corporate part. So I would really advise that do whatever comes your way, give it your 100%, give it your best shot. Just don't think that you can't do the litigation in your early career because you have to do corporate in your later life. Just go for interviews, meet new people, to start networking, build your relationship with different senior lawyers, and you will definitely excel in your career. That is what I also personally did when I started with my legal career. I started at a legal law firm that was named as Dr. Shahnawaz and Kaim Law Associates. It was purely a criminal litigation firm. However, I did my internship over there for almost 6 months. And right after my graduation, I planned on changing my corporate. I changing my field from litigation to corporate, and then from corporate to being an in-house legal counsel. So that was a roller coaster ride for me also. So I would because I've come from different practices. So now I know where do I have to stand, where do I have to practice, and what personally I like the most. So which is obviously the in-house legal counsel thing. So I would recommend everybody and it's my sincere advice to everybody that whatever comes your way, just do it, practice, build more relationships, do networking, because the networking part is really important when it comes to the lawyers. So you have to build connections with the senior lawyers. You have to learn under their supervision. You have to make sure that whatever you are doing, that have been checked by them. So if you don't do that, if you do it half-heartedly, you will never succeed in life.
That is that is very beautifully put. Saifullah, you have been part of both, or I should say, two tangents of legal profession. You see, in-house and I mean the corporate part of it and the litigation part of it. So I have a
Yeah.
question for litigation as well. For litigants generally, that is very maybe a very common question, but it always intrigues you once after you see a lot of series and movies coming in. You know, the courtroom drama sort of question. So I have that question with you. But before I do that, I also want to understand what are the key practice areas for you as a in-house or as a corporate lawyer. What's your key practice areas in K Electric?
Okay. So at K Electric, I majorly do my practice in labor and employment law. I closely work with the where where we have been guiding them on the HR and the ER employee relations policies, how to make the HR and ER policies better, and how to make it the environment of the company more employee friendly. So we try to make sure that the policies that we come up with, being an HR legal department, the policies should be employee friendly, as well as they should always be supportive. You should pay them well. You should give them a safe and secure environment, especially for the females, when it like you said earlier, that the female practitioners, so it comes in every company, like the female do face some sort of discrimination when it comes to any sort of industry. So we make sure that we don't let that happen. So at K Electric, my major practice is in like ER and the employment laws.
All right, brilliant. So that was the corporate angle of it. Now the litigation angle of it. See, there are a lot of cases. Many times we see that publicly defamed cases or else abusers cases that lawyers generally take with them, and there's a lot of thing that goes on them after doing so. So, how would you advise a young lawyer, to the lawyers who are struggling with personal bias when taking up cases of, let's say, as I said, publicly defamed or alleged abusers? Should they just discard the case altogether, or should they follow the saying that justice is meant for everyone and courts are for everyone? So it has to follow the path that is destined to.
Okay, so even though I have a very less experience when it comes to litigation, but yeah, I did face some similar situations when I was working with my senior lawyer. So right to fair trial is everybody's right in any constitution of the world, be it like America, Canada, India, Pakistan. It applies on every person. So I personally think that even if, first of all, the biasness thing shouldn't come in between your career, but even if, let's say, if it comes, I personally recommend that the personal biasness, and if there is morality and the personal biasness do comes in between your legal career, it's always better to keep your cases, to not take the cases, and let's not go for those cases and skip those cases, instead of taking those cases and ruining it for your client also and for yourself also, because it does not only makes a harm on your client, but it puts a very bad reputation on your name also. So first of all, come your way, but even if it does, so you should always prefer to stay away from those cases.
So what you're saying is either if you either don't take it, and if you have taken it, then be truthful to your client. These
Yes,
are two facts that you're
exactly.
stating.
Exactly, because if you don't, if you have taken it, then your reputation is also at stake. It's not only the client's interest in the stakes, it's your reputation also. So you should be more worried about not only about your reputation but your client's stake also, because at the moment he's your client, he has paid to you, and so his stakes are definitely involved, and then your reputation is also involved. So either if you think your emotions cannot be kept aside, if your biasness and your morality cannot be kept aside, you should always refrain from taking those cases. There's no harm
That's right.
to say no than to regret later in your life.
That is very well put, Mr. Sheikh. Uh, Thank you, Mr. Sheikh, for being part of the session. And we
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate you getting some time out of your busy schedule. And I make sure and I promise our audience that we will definitely have you on our show again in future on to discuss some of the trending topics in the international legal industry.
Anytime, anytime. My pleasure. My pleasure.
Which is all, Asir. Thank you very much. And for our
Thank you.
viewers, if you like this chat with Mr. Saifullah Sheikh, I want you to like this video, to share this video, click on that red button and subscribe to Click Away Creators YouTube channel to appreciate what we do. And you have more coming in from industry leaders like Mr. Saifullah Sheikh himself. This was Sagar for Let's Talk World signing off.